Just what the hell do men get out of marriage these days? That's the question for today. This video goes a bit in depth on the matter, and I think it's very, very interesting to see, with perhaps some solutions thrown in, and maybe just a few more complaints.
Follow your prescription. Let's
Not a
just say,
prescription.
Well, let's say
but
it was.
I'm saying, all I'm asking is the question is what's in it for the guy. Like, if you're going to sell something, if you're going to sell a prescription, which I don't do, but I'm saying, like, you have to answer the question, what does he get?
I think that there are virtuous women that men can still get.
By not selling a prescription, as she says, that basically means I get to rant and complain, but I don't offer forth anything that might be better. I could just... It's basically like a nagging woman. Imagine that. But her simp followers never considered that before.
And that they can practically get them, and that they exist all over the place, and there's millions of them.
Yeah, but Aaron Clary's run the numbers on that. That's not true. Like, if you calculate...
Yeah, I've read Aaron Clary's. So I've read Aaron Clary's book, right? But what is, just so you know, right, 1% of 300 million, still 3 million. Still a lot of women, right? And his numbers are not saying 1% are marriageable. And what he's giving is a spectrum, right? He's saying, look, if you're willing to put up with X, there's going to be 50% of women available for you. If you're willing to put up with Y, there's 30%, right? But if you want a chaste virgin, no tattoo, no trauma, it's a very small percentage. It's like, well, yeah, of course it is. But that probably...
And that is a problem with the red pill. They have all these huge list of what a woman cannot have. They can't have this, can't have this. The girl can't possess any negative trait, just even one from the list. Oh, God, she's terrible, terrible person. Well, it's not a realistic standard, and nothing in life is that perfect. Was it Thomas Sowell said, there are no solutions, only compromises.
It's probably always
only trade-offs. It was
been the case in sexual liberation that if you wanted a chaste virgin women, no tattoos, no trauma, that's going to be a small percentage.
Promiscuity was even calculated in the study.
Chastity, virginity.
Yeah, it was. That wasn't in there. No, he didn't calculate that. It was debt. It was tattoos. That's true.
Yeah.
It was obesity.
The last few videos I've seen of Miss Pearls here, she has downplayed the promiscuity body count thing quite a bit. I don't know if she's getting a little older, racking them up, thinking, "Okay, let's guys, let's quit mentioning that."
It was. I think those are the three main things. It was number of tattoos, debt, and obesity.
Oh, see?
I would add in facial piercings. If a girl has any visible facial piercings on the nose, cheek, she done.
I would have calculated in chastity, too.
Yeah, I know. But so he said 1% when you just calculate debt, obesity, and, you know.
Are marriageable.
Yeah.
Yeah, from his metrics.
Yeah, so, okay, if you want to pay off a girl's debt, cool. But, and then he didn't even include, like, sex work. So, like, again, it's kind of asking the question, like, what's in it for the average guy?
I think he did include chastity numbers. Clary did in his book, now that I'm thinking about it.
I don't think he did. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'll go back and take a look. I have his book, so I'll take a look. But either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
ultimately, what I'm saying is like, so when we're looking at those metrics, you're looking at the metrics for marriageable. It's like, well, let me ask you a question. What makes you marriageable?
Oh, she's getting called out. Now you're gonna think Pearl has been doing this kind of content for a number of years now. She should have a decent answer for this question. She should. Does she?
Nothing.
So nothing makes you marriageable?
No. I mean, I have no debt, no tattoos. I wish I was a little younger, but yeah. No debt, no tattoos.
No debt, no tattoos?
I mean, I'm a nice person. I can cook. I'd be a good mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does she at least come with any goats? Maybe a few cattle thrown in there? What is that?
I would say then that if those are the categories we're looking at, like body count's not even in there, this and that. When we're talking about debt too, how much debt? Like if you come in a relationship with $10,000 in debt, I don't think men care.
I think the average is $25,000.
That's still not bad.
I think it would matter how they acquired that debt. Was it sensible, or are they a mindless spender who are going to be eating through your financials and lead you to ruination? That's a big difference now. Mindful spending versus just throwing in the piggy bank, smashing that baby open and getting rid of every last dime in there.
Honestly, $25,000.
Yeah, but the average guy makes like $48,000 a year.
Yeah, and the average amount of time it takes off to pay off $25,000 of debt if you're hyper focused on it, even if you're making
right. But you could say, but like this isn't a great sell, right? Like that's what I keep asking. Like, what's in it for the guy? Now you're saying, well, you can get a wife, but now you
So here's what I'm saying. I'm saying, these things that you say are, very high. Like, don't do it because it's like. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Should I pass on a woman if she's very virtuous and she'll give me 4 children, she's super fertile because she has $20,000 in debt? Should I pass on her?
That's up to you.
Yeah, but
I don't.
Right.
I don't
that's
say.
what I mean,
say
right?
shit
That's
or
the thing
shouldn't.
about the red pill that gets me.
But,
it's like.
But you keep switching.
There he is talking about that laundry list that just keeps going and going. She could be, if she has everything you'd ever want, but they come with an amount of debt. Now, again, yeah, it could be a deal breaker for you. But if you do that so many times, of course there's no one left. It's a matter of picking the priorities. Which are the most important to you? Which do you actually want? And then which do you actually need? And which would you want? And kind of a desirability scale you have to factor in for your own life and your own personal preferences.
I'm not asking you. I'm saying we got to. I'm not saying do it or don't do it. I'm saying what's in it for the guy.
A virtuous woman.
And I'm saying on a balance of probabilities, they can't get that, and you can't prove it.
Can't prove what?
How would you know if a woman's virtuous?
Yeah, but I mean, well, how do you know anything?
How? But you're dodging.
He's going to get caught in the logic question again. Now, some things you can tell for sure. Okay, if they have tattoos, okay, you have tattoos. If you have debt, those are things you can actually look and see. But whether or not someone is virtuous is another matter. And that you'd have to look for different traits and characteristics depending on the person and how they react under different scenarios, family background. But there is no way to tell, just as someone could lie and cheat and steal at any point in their life. That's kind of Andrew's point, is that some things are unknowable, and you have to have a reasonable amount of faith or suspicion based on what you see to make a final verdict on whether you want to move forward or not.
The question,
well, I'm not.
Like how could you
yeah.
prove that?
Yeah,
like there's
like the same way that you can prove anything.
Women's sex drive starts at like 16, and that's. I mean, I'm not even going to go and
Yeah, but
the average woman loses her virginity at 16. The average age of first marriage is like 28.
So when
29.
you're looking at probabilities, right?
Mm-hmm. She always defends this body count thing now. I think she has a huge stuck-up point on this.
This is what your big thing is. Like, let's look at the average and the angst of probability.
No, I just wanted to answer the question, what's in it for the guy? Like, not do it despite this.
That's what would be in it for the guy. Would be a virtuous woman that would give them children, be a good mother to them. That's what they would be moving towards.
Right, but on average, they're probably not going to get that.
Yeah, there's going to be less of them.
Yeah.
So which is it? She says, what's in it? Nobody answers. He answers now several times. And she's like, well, yeah, but that's not very common.
There's all sorts of mitigation strategies. One thing is a mitigation strategy is they get brides from elsewhere. That seems to work out for some.
Oh, no. You can't do that.
No, you don't like the passport bros?
No. Do you know what? If you bring them back here, one of the worst divorce
you stay
stories,
there. You stay there.
Yeah, but no guy wants to move to, like, in general, like, women are 85.
She says one of the worst divorce stories. You could find one. Any argument you have, you could find at least one, probably even 10. You could probably even find 100 different stories of tragic incidences that occurred or whatever it is, like the anti or the pro-abortion ones. They keep narrowing it down. And what if they was incest? What if they were against their will? What if they were forced? And what if it's malformed? And what if it has this? You get down to such a small percent that it's hardly relevant to anyone.
Percent of travelers. So men in general, they don't like to travel. Like most guys don't. Like if I had to sell my brothers on move to another country to find a good woman.
Okay, so let me
most
get this.
people don't want to uproot their whole life.
So let me get this right.
See, anytime he gives an answer, she comes up with an excuse for it. I mean, that's it. Like I said, it's a nagging woman, and I don't get the viewers here, her fans. They have such a disconnect where they don't see that is nagging woman behavior that she is instilling in them. Maybe it's because it's a woman saying it.
So then, if I were to follow this, if I were to follow Pearl Davis's entire viewpoint here, I just want to make sure I get it right. I'll steelman it. I'm going to steelman it.
Go ahead.
There's no virtuous women, right? Basically any.
Didn't say none.
Well, okay. Basically any. There's very few virtuous women,
and
that's
true. You'd agree that's true.
I would agree that there's.
That's true. That's objectively, there's not many.
Yeah, I would agree that it's less than 50%. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. So we're on the same. We agree.
So.
Although earlier it sounded like she was saying there was 1% or less, and now he says under 50. She's like, okay, we agree. I mean, that's a pretty wide spread, under 50 to 1%.
Because of that, men, right, they're not going to be left with the choice of getting virtuous women, so they just kind of fuck whoever if they feel like it. Because that's what's left to them.
I'm saying that's already what's happening.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm saying if we want
to. But what should happen though?
Well, I don't say what should happen.
Yeah, but I'm asking you.
I say what is.
Yeah, so
I say I can't.
So what do we do about that though? How's that helpful?
But my question is,
it is burning. It's like, well, how do we put it out? But it is burning.
Yeah, but
that is true. See, the men who listen to Pearl, they walk away with a feeling of defeat, but a righteous defeat. Like, yeah, see, we hate women, and she told us why they're terrible, and we agree with her. Yeah, never do it. But you're not getting anything out of it. You are becoming the very thing that you despised. How are you better for it? You might not be getting worse, but you're not getting any better for it. I don't understand how they can keep listening to the same rhetoric and not understand that they're actually harming themselves.
But the way you're acting as if I have any control over what the world does. I can't control that. I can't. I didn't make this society. I can't control how the world is. Right?
Yeah, I get it.
So, I just keep asking the question: what's in it for the man?
That would be what would be in it for men.
And I don't
for
think
marriage.
but I don't think there are enough virtuous women that's going to be a good selling point.
Another excuse.
Because it can't be verified for one, and probability-wise, it's less than 50%.
Well, what's the alternative to it, though?
I mean, she says it can't be verified. One of her traits she mentioned for her marriage ability was being nice.
It's already what's happening. It's why men are bowing out. The sexes are going apart.
They don't seem like they're happier because they're bowing out. They seem like they're happier when they find these versions. So let's just say
I don't know. I've met some older players. They really are not in a bad.
Yeah,
I don't.
Again, goes to the small percent. She always does this. Oh, I met a few players. And what about the other millions of men? I mean, and men, do not make the mistake and think you are going to be one of the very small, few select percent of men who have this lifestyle open to them that she's talking about. There's nothing against you. I'm not saying you are a bad fellow because you won't reach that, but I'm saying be realistic. In that what she is selling this pipe dream that men cling to. But look at your own life. How many millions do you have? Are you famous? Are you rich? Do you have any aspirations to be? Do you have any criteria, qualification that would lead you to believe you might be? Be sensible now. That's what they lack. They listen to this woman. She whispers sweet nothings in their ear, and they go, oh yeah, the players, when I get old, I'm going to be great. You're not working towards anything.
Guys I talk to play the field. When I talk to them privately, they're like, I wish I get a different story, but let's just assume. I'm just going to assume the world for a second. 15% of women.
It's not like the guys married are in a better place. Overall, I mean, so many men are in why do you think we have phrases like happy wife, happy life?
Well, because of sitcoms. because of sitcoms.
Right, but again, if the results were so much better, it would be an easy sell.
Yeah, but let's just say it's 15% though. Let's just say it's only 15% of women are virtuous. Okay. Actually, let's just do 10. Only 10% of women are.
Then you bring up, say, the arranged marriages in other countries and their divorce rate low, and the amount of years they stay together. Then there's, of course, the counter argument is always, well, they're forced to be together. They can't divorce. It's like there's, no matter what you say, there's always an excuse put in place here, because you're not trying to find a solution. You are trying to be part of the problem, pandering to yourself, so you can feel better. You can point at something. You are part of the victim culture here. You need to step outside of that box. Let's step out.
Virtuous. You'd still recommend that women who wanted virtuous men marry those women, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, sure.
Yeah. So you would still want them, but why would you think that they should marry those women?
Well, it depends what they want.
Well,
but
right.
if I don't tell men how to live, right? That's not my place. Like, if you as a man want to go off and be by yourself till you're 50, I'm not going to tell you that's wrong.
Why not? What if it is?
Because I don't think it is.
Right. So
like,
now
I don't think it's wrong for a man to live
Pearl,
life. If he lives
you're
life
a feminist, Pearl.
Sure.
Wait, you're a feminist. You're do as thou wilt, feminist, Pearl.
Right, but why?
Finally, we get into it. Oh my God, she was the very thing she mocked, and look at this face on her right there, searching off to the side. What can I say to come back from this? There's nothing you can say. You've been outed, but don't worry, your simpy fans they don't care.
Like, why am I to tell a man how to live?
Well, you're not telling a man how to live. You're telling women how to live.
I think that's out of order.
Yeah, I agree. You tell the women how to live. You tell those virtuous women they need to marry virtuous men.
Yeah, and you think they'll listen. Good luck.
Well, I mean, I think that they're more inclined to listen to women than men.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I don't. I've watched women watch like abortion videos and not care.
But I mean,
and still get one after.
But do as thou wilt, right? That's brutally, like, when you say I don't care ultimately, right? I don't really care. I'm like, well, you should care though, because ultimately, reason you say those 10%.
I said it's out of order for me to tell a guy how to live, right? I think that's out of order. Like, I don't think that's my place.
Okay, but here's what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah.
If you think those 10% of women who are virtuous should marry like the 10%, or you should get married to virtuous men.
If they want to.
The women, not the men.
They could be nuns if they want.
Yeah.
They could. It's not my place.
Yeah, I know.
It's your
Forget
life.
the nunnery, but if they want to get married, they shouldn't marry shitbags. They should marry virtuous men, right?
If that's what they want to do.
If that's what they want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, so if you're just diving into, even if they're virtuous, you're not.
So what the hell does she even go on about then? What are all these videos about? She will mock and belittle and bash women mainly, and yet when you ask a question to her about it, I don't say anything. I don't have an opinion. Your whole platform is opinion based, and now all of a sudden, I don't want to say. I don't want to tell men how to live.
Sure. I'm like, even if they're virtuous, I'm not sure what they should do. That's where I'm like,
again, it's not my place. Like, you have to live with the consequences of your actions. And I just think a lot of YouTubers get like a God complex where they want to tell everyone how to live. And it's not my place. It's your life.
Yeah, but I mean,
like, it's if you get to live life on your own terms. Would you tell
men like not to become trannies?
I mean, if they want to do that, I'd rather they didn't. But
see, okay, there we go.
I'd rather not.
I'd rather they didn't.
I'd rather not. I don't really want to look at them, but let's just keep that convo for YouTube.
Would you tell men like, so you wouldn't make any recommendations? Like, what if a man was like, I want to be a homosexual and have 20 gay...
Okay, what if they have a son? Is she going to say, I'm not going to tell you how to live, yeah. She said she would be a good wife, but she doesn't have any ideas on what would make a virtuous man, or what would be good for a man to live in. There's nothing. You can't say, this is how it should be. You don't have to say, this is how it should be. You don't have to say, men must do this. But if someone says, in your ideal world, what would men do? What would they do? What would you like to see more of? I'm not going to tell, because she's there fumbling about, no answer. It's disgraceful.
lovers.
Well, I could give what I think is right and wrong, and that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to stick to the facts.
Got it.
Yeah.
But this is great.
Yeah.
Right.
Go
So
ahead.
it's not a God complex then. So if you're saying, I know what's right and I know what's wrong, then you tailor.
According to my worldview.
Yeah. So
right?
you would tailor that worldview though to the outcomes you wanted to see in society. That's not a God complex. That's just like picking your neighbors, right?
Right, but I don't agree because, again, I think that every man has a right to live life on his own terms. And you're kind of dodging the question, which
ask it directly and I'll give you a yes or no.
Which is what's in it for the men.
Yeah.
Like what is in it for him.
So I'll repeat it again. What does a man get out of which?
This is exactly like being married to a woman they say to avoid. How many times does he answer the same question? She keeps repeating it. I mean, imagine if you were married to Pearl and this was a nightly occurrence to you. Now, what do you want to eat for dinner? No, you're dodging the question again.
Thing, a marriage?
Yeah.
Yeah, what he would get or what he'd be seeking for marriage would be a virtuous, non-vexing wife who gave him children, was a good mother.
But we agree that most men aren't going to get that, correct?
We would agree
because that's less than 50%.
Yes, we would agree that is the
correct.
case.
And until conservatives can answer that question for men, it's going to keep going down.
But
I'm not saying it's good.
Didn't I just answer the question though?
What?
Yeah, so what is it that they're getting out of marriage? Or what is it that they should be wanting and getting out of marriage?
Not should. I said what, but what are they getting now?
Oh, descriptively. Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I'm getting at.
But we already agree descriptively that's the case. What I'm after is the next part where we're like, okay, so what the fuck are we going to do about this shit?
So, yeah, he prescribes doing certain things, the virtuous, marrying the virtuous, and Pearl's like, well, we not many people are gonna get this. It's gonna be less than 50%. So yeah, the alternative is what? Do nothing, let it go, sink faster? No, you start moving little steps in the right direction. She thinks that it has to be some huge God sweeping in and fixing everything overnight. No, it's just another excuse for her to push aside.
That's where I'm at.
Well, you can start and change the laws and whatever. I just don't see it happening in my lifetime.
Really? You don't think so? You don't think there's any possibility that people can run a social movement to change any of this stuff?
I don't see any evidence that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole economy is run on the female dollar. Women make I always look at it as women, you make $8 off.
And here she is with a platform of 2 million. At least on YouTube. And instead of using that to instruct men, or I can't do that, I don't want to tell them how to live, they can live how they want. Instead of even hinting at it, she is basically has this horde of men chasing after her, following her advice. And it is advice. Just because she doesn't call it that doesn't mean it's not. And she is steering them astray. This is also what Andrew talked about, being the fake conservative women. They're actually just feminist.
Off of women and $2 off of men.
Yeah, for like the pink tax. The pink tax.
No. Women make 80% of consumer buying decisions. So there's so many industries that just depend off of women working.
Sure.
And women spending money. And I just don't see it changing. I hope you're right.
It changed. Well, I mean,
I hope you're right.
How does the propaganda work though that gets all the women in the workforce against their will?
I don't
all the
think
propaganda can't work to get them out of the workforce.
I don't think it's propaganda like that. No? I think it's what women want to do.
Women want to do what?
Women wanted to work. Women didn't want to have kids.
No, they didn't want to work. Definitely not. And they definitely. It seems like when I look at the.
How do you know that? Where's the facts? She previously saying she sticks to facts only. Now she's like, I think women wanted to do that. I think women. I mean, which metric is it she's going by? Which one?
Regrets that I hear from women more than anything by the time they hit their 40s was that they did that shit and that they feel like they were completely lied to about it.
Yeah, that's what they say. But that's kind of like a fat person like saying they want to lose weight, but they don't take any steps to like make it happen. They don't really want to lose weight.
I mean, that's common.
Like if women have, like we get thousands of options on a dating app.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like if you wanted to, you would, but we don't.
of low quality matches that they don't really like. Okay, that's just cheap validation. That's a whole other topic. But anyway, that ends this one off. I think we've illuminated Miss Pearl here is not really on the side of men. She is whispering sweet nothings. Sweet little victimhood stories in your ear. Saying, oh, what are we going to do about it? Do you want to follow that kind of advice? Or do you want to actually be a man and step up and go do something about it? You can sit and complain, oh, Pearl's right, oh, women suck. Or you can look across the table at old Andrew there and start taking a little more personal responsibility.